Alright guys, how's it going? I'm Rabea.
Dave.
And yeah, Dave is here with me, and this is cool because I've not actually had Dave in probably a couple of videos before in the past.
Probably, but not quite like this.
No, this is a demo, a bass demo.
It is.
Because I attempted one not long ago and I figured it was better to get an actual bass player in. So Dave has kindly come down and we're actually reviewing a very, very exciting piece of gear. And that is the Darkglass Electronics Microtubes 900 amplifier. Yeah.
It's 900 watts of earth-shaking terror.
Yeah, it's insane. So hopefully you guys know who Darkglass Electronics are. If you don't, they're a company based in Finland and they create amazing bass gear.
They do.
Started out on pedals, didn't they?
They did. They started, with their kind of staple drive sound that they developed, which is very filthy.
Which is something Dave heard and immediately got.
Yeah, and it's been on my board since as my main kind of drive sound. Used it on the Toska record, the Dorje record, and a few other ones that I've produced as well that I've run the bass players into.
So essentially what it is it's a 900 watt bass amp. However, it features the circuits of two of their drive pedals, doesn't it?
It does.
What you've got is a clean channel, and then you've got the dirty channel, and then you've got the option to switch between the two circuits, one being vintage, one being modern, which is wicked because you don't really see many bass amps with that kind of layout, I guess.
I think probably the closest thing to this would be something like Tech 21's Landmark,
which you used to have.
Which I used to use, yeah. It was a great amp. That had a clean channel, a drive channel. The clean one you could dirty up a bit,
right?
And with the correct foot switch, you could blend the two as well.
Yes. So hopefully you can see on the GoPro that we've got sat in front that it's a pretty cool layout, and one of the things that's cool about Darkglass is their emphasis on mid-range, which for me and Dave is really important. Hopefully you can see there's a couple of toggle switches that change the sort of area that's emphasised in the mid-range, and so up front you've got the choice of low mids and high mids and what areas of that frequency spectrum you can affect.
So it's essentially a semi-parametric equaliser in the bass amp. So yeah, as you said, it basically allows you to kind of choose the frequency area that you want them to cut or boost, and you can kind of like get quite specific with it. Yeah,
and get some really grunty tones.
Yeah, it's powerful.
So it's quite expansive in terms of the areas that you can really put emphasis on.
It is. I particularly like that they're common frequencies that I use when I'm mixing a lot. This 1.5k is really nice for that kind of attack that's not too shrill. It's good for that sort of detail and to cut through the top of the guitar. And around 250 is really nice for adding a lot of body without making the speakers bottom out or it being too sort of in the way of a kick drum. And 500 is another one that's quite often you want to pull out a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're really good. They're well thought out frequencies to have those mid areas,
and that's something I really appreciate, especially when it comes to designing gear, and even more so bass gear, because we've discussed this many a time and it seems like a lot of bass players just scoop out the mids, but then again there's not many bass players that play with fingers and use really over compressed sort of like distorted tones, do they?
That is true.
Yeah. So they're few and far between. So something else that's really interesting about this amp is obviously you've got your amp side and then you've got your microtube side, and then you've got a blend switch or a blend dial that means you can sort of just blend in how much of the distortion that you want into the clean tone, which is really useful. So you can go from 0 all the way up to 100% of the microtubes. And then you've got a tone control for the microtubes, you've got your level, and then an overall master.
So we're listening to it through the DI output, which also has a little button on it for if you want it to be pre or post, so that you can take a completely clean DI if you want without any of the amp settings, and then you can obviously engage it if you want to record it, which is what we're doing. I think there's ground lift on the back of there as well, and I think there's also a preamp in and preamp out as well, sort of like a power amp in and a preamp out.
Right, okay.
So you could run it with a different kind of amp if you wanted to as well.
Right, interesting.
Yes.
Awesome. And also, you might have noticed sat on top is a little foot switch, and this is the intelligent foot switch. It's powered with just a jack cable. We've got a patch cable plugged into it, and it controls a mute function. It controls your microtubes on and off, and then you can program it to do. Basically, when you hold it down, it goes into mute, but it remembers if you had microtubes engaged or not. So that is pretty intelligent.
And the only other thing I was going to say is obviously this amp is 900 watts, which is a lot, and I believe it's 900 watts RMS. So that's continuous power. Obviously that could overload a lot of cabs. Yeah. So there is actually a little switch on the back to change the impedance
down to 2 ohms,
which then reduces the output. So that if your cab isn't 900 watts, you can kind of like tune it down so that you can actually use it with an average cab.
For all those that are interested in the power amp section, it is a Class D Bang & Olufsen power amp. So that is the amplifier inside this box. And also it looks like a games console, and I like that because I like games.
I don't, but I still like the way it looks.
And lastly, if it wasn't already packed full of features, you got a little dip switch to go between UK and US voltage. So you don't need to even really worry about using it in any country.
They also have a larger foot switch.
The super intelligent foot switch.
More functions, and also they do a little carry case for it as well.
There you go. Well, without further ado, let's check out some of the tonage. I'm going to mess around with the dials whilst Dave plays. What bass are you playing, Dave?
This is the Ibanez 5-string.
Yes, okay, because it's got such a long code name that we just thought it'd be easy to say that.
Yeah.
And as Dave said, DI straight out into the Universal Audio Apollo 8P interface. So, here we go. Fair play. I mean, great playing, but that is a great sounding bass amp. Clean channel. It's more that the amount of effect those dip switches, those toggle switches for the low mid and the high mid actually affect the tone. Because I was messing around with both of them, and yeah, it makes a huge difference.
It does. I mean, obviously, you're being quite drastic with
Yeah.
the sounds to show what it can do and that sort of thing.
Mm.
But it definitely wouldn't take long to dial in a sort of really usable sound
Mm.
for lots of styles.
Yeah, and the other thing that is worth pointing out is it's always difficult to demonstrate bass on the internet because there's no way of really giving you an accurate representation of how much air it's going to move through a cabinet.
No.
But
And also it depends how you're playing it back.
yes,
You know.
if you're hearing it through your phone, good luck.
Mm.
You probably need a half decent sound system to hear what this amp can really do through a DI. But in any case, that was a wicked sound. I haven't even touched the Microtubes setting yet. And also, there's a little switch on the front for passive and active. We've currently got it in passive mode. I should probably chuck it into active mode, seeing as your bass is active.
Probably should do.
Let's do that. In any case, I reckon we mess with the Microtube side.
Sounds good.
It's currently set to the vintage sort of drive distortion tone.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll mess with that, and then I'll throw in the B3K circuit, and we'll see what happens.
Cool.
All right. Wow, that is just the vintage side as well. Bloody hell,
It's brutal, isn't it?
that's insane.
Yeah.
Why I'm so impressed is that it's the amount that you can shape the tone. I think is for me is really impressive because I'm used to that kind of because I'm a guitar player. I'm used to that kind of level of functionality from the kind of amps I like to use. But Jesus, that's insane.
It is.
Should we try the B3K circuit?
I think it's important that we do.
All right. I got a little bit giddy.
You did?
Yeah, I got a little bit giddy there because it started to clip a bit, and I'm sorry for all those listening on high quality sound system. But I mean, fair play.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you have to be careful when you're playing around with cranking up drive and blend and stuff like that, because you are going to start messing around with the overall output signal.
Sorry.
But just to reassure you, that was digital clipping and not the amp.
Oh yeah, the amp's fine. I was barely touching the master.
I'm slightly worried about your studio monitors.
Are you? Oh no, don't say that.
Just that there was a lot of frequencies happening just then.
Yeah, there was. I think if anything, we're just keeping them in check.
Yeah.
Let's hope. As we've said, the shaping of the tone and the functionality of it in general is just super impressive.
It really is.
And the reason that we chose a 5-string to use is purely because it's down in drop A for one, but also it's good to know how it would handle extended range, because I've seen a lot of guys in the kind of more progressive metal and modern music using this gear. So it's really, really impressive.
Yeah, and truth be told, I'm not really a 5-string player, so
no, you're not.
I'm a bit scruffy when I'm on on a 5.
Disclaimer alert. But I think it wouldn't be right if, obviously you've seen some of the excerpts Dave's done, but it wouldn't be right to not plug in a 4-string and have Dave try some slap, and also just basically more comfortable with, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's do that now. Okay, Dave is now set up with his 4-string.
I am.
We're just going to try, I'm going to mess around with the controls and try and find a nice slap tone, but then again, we're just going to mess around with it a bit more because it's insane.
Cool.
Let's do it. Wow. In fairness, again, I keep saying in fairness, but seriously, that was a great slap tone, I thought, as well.
Yeah, it was.
You could argue that this amplifier is designed for more modern bass playing, whether it be rock, hard rock, metal and stuff, but they have made sure that you can get that kind of sweeter, clean tone, haven't they?
Well, that's I guess, with such a intricate EQ section and with such a large power amp as well, and obviously it being solid state, it will do super clean.
Yeah.
And you can dial in whatever tone really, because it's just that precise and powerful.
Yeah. And that's before you put any pedals in front of it. I mean, you could put one of their Microtubes pedals in front as well, to give extra tonal shaping features, and yeah, it's just, I'm really impressed. That's probably one of the nicer modern heavy bass tones I've heard straight out of an amplifier. And
it's so small and light.
It is. If you want to get one of these bad boys, they're about 850 quid. You can find them at Anderton's Music Co. Alternatively, you can go online and look elsewhere, but I'll put a link to Anderton's in the description box below. Nice one, Dave, for coming and doing this. And thank you, Darkglass, for sending this amazing gear across. So yeah, if you want to know anything else, description box, please comment, like, subscribe, and share. And I've been Rabea.
Dave.
See you later.